that day, the night before, I had gone back to Washington, D.C., and my girlfriend at the time, who I was very in love with, she got up that morning and my dad took her to the airport. And that morning, my mom got up and she gave my brother a hug or a kiss, and she came over here, and the next thing we know, a lady started screaming and she had jumped off the bridge. I don't know how else you say that except just to be honest about it. It was the worst day of my life by far. It still, 24 years later, resonates with all of us in the family. It completely changed things. You know, not just her tragic death, but my dad getting remarried very soon after, the way it affected all our lives, the way it made me go on the journey, what it did to my brother, what it did to my sisters, what it did to other people. But the reason why I come here and share this is because every person in their life has a moment like that. Something that they don't want to deal with, something tragic, something horrible, something far worse than the strokes. And by facing it, by admitting it, by coming to terms with it, accepting the tragedy of suicide, the difficulty of schizophrenia, the difficulty of mental illness, you learn strength to overcome other things in your life. And everyone has something. The loss of a child, a car accident, cancer. In this case, my mom's schizophrenia and the great tragedy of her death. That you learn when you can face that and you can be honest about it, it gives you strength. Strength that God has a plan, even in tragedy, that there's meaning in suffering, that you can help other people to prevent these things, and that you can overcome things. Because every day I suffer with it, every day my family is affected by it, but there's meaning in it, even for the worst things, far worse than the strokes. If you face it and you accept it and you believe in God and you have faith, you can overcome the most difficult things, and every life has them. Most people don't want to talk about them. It's difficult for me to talk about it. But if you're honest and you come to terms with it, and I don't think you ever totally come to terms with your mom's tragic death. It's kind of like you go through life without an arm or a leg, but you do find that other people have gone through similar things, and every family has their tragedies, has their difficulties, and it's better to be open about it, better to be honest about it, and help people who suffer from mental illness, people who suffer from not only the tragedy of suicide, but people who are thinking about that as a way out, to let them know there is help, to let them know it can get better, to let them know that there are people who have gone through this, and your lives are always affected by it. So it's better to get help than to suffer in silence, and to find meaning in tragedy. That's what we all have to do in our lives, and that's part of what we're trying to do here. You know, she used to like Hershey's with almonds. She was always really skinny, except when she got pregnant. But I just was looking in my pocket, and lo and behold, I have a Hershey's with almond. That was her favorite candy bar. So it's little things like that. She wasn't the kind of foodie that my dad or us were, but she always liked Hershey's with almonds. So I remember that. I would sometimes pick her up one at the John's Superette or Joe's Market, and that's where I got the nickname Caino. And one of my old girlfriends said she thought like my family was this Italian family, because she'd always hear my mom go, Caino, Caino. And so, you know, whenever I hear Caino, I think of the first person who called me Caino, which was her.